Alrighty, same shirt, different day. Yeah, beards of a feather flock together. So what we want to talk about today, there's day number 16, Al Stewart Love Chronicles. As you know, there's sort of a 24-hour hiatus going on here, so if you notice, they will be probably 3 videos, kind of as I mentioned in the other one. If you usually watch your videos in the afternoon, you'll notice all 3. So I thank you all for bearing with me, doing a little housekeeping. So today, again, we're gonna do 2 videos today. So I did that yesterday, and this will be the one I do today. Wanted to talk about another album which spent a long time obsessing over, listening to over and over and over and over again, and probably looking into, thinking about, following along a little bit more than I should have. That album is Sweetheart of the Rodeo by the Byrds. So this will be first entry by the Byrds in the 30-day challenge, and probably the only one. I think there's a lot of other stuff that I would rather show than 2 Byrds albums in the same one, but this is a great album. Definitely a lot of people talk about it. You notice it come up on a lot of lists and things like that. Why I will talk about it today. Maybe we'll get a little personal on this one, I guess. So this, for those of you that really don't know the Byrds, history and things like that, of course the classic lineup had pretty much all but dissolved at this point, and really the only person that remained on this album, well, actually 2 people from the original lineup, was Chris Hillman on bass and Roger McGuinn, Jim McGuinn, on guitar, most notably a 12-string Rickenbacker, and of course it features Graham Parsons. This is Graham Parsons' one and only album with the Byrds, and also a guy named Kevin Kelly, I believe, on drums, who, let me just double check and see here. Yes, Kevin Kelly. Kevin Kelly was actually the drummer in a band called The Rising Sons, which was a band that Taj Mahal was in with Ry Cooder, basically before his sort of solo thing, but they were, they tried to do one album as The Rising Sons, and I don't think it was actually released. I think it was kind of aborted. They did some singles, I think, but it exists in reissue form. I don't believe it was an actual album. I don't think it actually was put out. But Sweetheart of the Rodeo is a really awesome album, and definitely a very important part in music in general. Just because, sort of, as some people say, it was kind of too rock and roll for country fans, and too country for a lot of rock and roll fans. But if I think of the influence on this album in the alt country scene, which I think is still pretty popular. You think about Uncle Tupelo, which of course now Son Volt and Wilco and whatnot. But I think Steve Earle. I think a lot of bands really took a lot of influence from this, and there's a lot of really good songs on it. I mean, I have a double disc Legacy edition, which is sort of the Graham Parsons vocals, which were kind of wiped due to contractual things because he was with the International Submarine Band. There's a big story behind this, a lot of red tape on this album, but it's a really, really welcomed addition into anybody's collection. The Christian Life is just an amazing song. You Don't Miss Your Water Till Your Well Runs Dry. Of course, You Ain't Going Nowhere, the Bob Dylan. So yet they still covered Dylan, even though they were, they kind of changed the direction. So I don't know. It's very strange. I think the Byrds have a very, really cool place, I think, in my record collection. They people always talk about that they were sort of the, America's Beatles. You know what I mean? But really, the classic lineup only really did technically 3 albums. There was the first 2 albums, and then, the one reunion album, which was just sort of a joke. It was just sort of a cash-in, really. But after this album went down, pretty much Graham Parsons and Chris Hillman formed the Flying Burrito Brothers, and then you had yet another change, which is sort of the, the Gene Parsons and Clarence White sort of era of the Byrds, which is, the B Bender guitar, which they sort of took it to the next level. Which, man, I'm just thinking about this right now and just really want to listen to this stuff. It's just ringing in my head quite a bit. But really, there's a kind of 3 or 4 different periods of the Byrds. And this was really kind of like a one-off. There really wasn't much more from this. They played the Grand Ole Opry and things like that, and they all sort of got haircuts, short as they could. Of course they wanted to have the longer hair, but yet they, I mean, it's totally very interesting time in history and in music. So this one, I think, a lot of people always talk about this, but if you do have a chance to pick this up, definitely just a dynamite album. Just is a total different direction in music, and that's one thing about the Byrds is they definitely, each time period that they had really, kind of like the Beatles, every album was sort of something different, but to kind of compare them to them, it's just they're two different bands really in the long run. So but just a fantastic album. I love it, and I listened to it quite a bit, got a lot of influence from it, really got obsessed with Graham Parsons and the Flying Burrito Brothers, and the whole lineage is what Graham Parsons would say is the cosmic American music, which is sort of the country rock, I guess you could say. So just fantastic album. So we'll see you in the morning, and thanks for bearing with me these last couple of days. So take care.